Hey, welcome everybody to the Director's Garage as my phone makes a noise. God. I'm your host and resident idiot, Michael, and man, it's good to be back. Good God. How we all doing? Well, I've had some adventures. Last week. I don't know if you caught my community page, but there's a reason we haven't been posting. Here's reason one. We've got a broken wrist, and I've got some bruised ribs and a cut on my leg. See, I fell in the backyard, folks. I fell in the backyard. So I've been kind of incapacitated, although I've still been working like crazy and trying to struggle through and get my day-to-day stuff done. But I was at the Grammy Awards yesterday. Yesterday was the Grammys, and I was on location there. And I got some photos. I can show you. We'll make this the Grammy episode. Let's do it official here. Let's go to... Oh, look at that. Oh, you can't see it because it's out of focus. But if you could see it in focus, that would say Grammy's biggest night. Here, we'll go to it. Here, let's see. And there you go. There it is. That's from the Crypto.com arena, formerly the Staples Center. There's two plugs I'll never get paid for from last night. And... got some stuff to show you. I'll run through some photos just for the fun of it. So the Grammys are this thing where it's a really hard award show to do because you have a red carpet to do, which is like you're out front as everybody arrives to this event. They're all in gowns and really dressed up to the night. And the Grammys are always wacky for fashion. You always get some really out there crazy stuff. Let me show you a thing or two because this was one of the more interesting designs of the evening. You're gonna get a kick out of this. Hang on, folks, it'll be worth it, I swear. That is Shania Twain. Shania Twain's red hair and sort of what you call that? That's like a Mad Hatter, like Alice in Wonderland kind of thing. But she was doing that last night, and let's see. There we go. Here's Machine Gun Kelly. Hang on. It's people really trying too hard to get some attention. So I was there last night, but I did get to. I had a couple of really cool interviews. I did Mick Fleetwood. Mick Fleetwood was there for Christine McVie's celebration, and I've never met Mick Fleetwood before, and he's a tall dude. He is a good 6'6", 6'7", something like that. I mean, he is quite... but he was really kind, backstage, I got a couple of legends. I got... Let's see, that's Stevie Wonder. We interviewed Stevie Wonder. First time I've seen him in quite a long time. And so he was backstage. Stevie has lost a lot of weight. He looked really good. And what else I got? Oh, this was, here's the night's big winner, Bonnie Raitt. She was the surprise winner. She won for Song of the Year. A lot of controversy out of last night about Beyonce not winning. She's been somebody who has traditionally won like the lower. She's the winningest. Hang on, I'll get back to me for her for a second. Beyonce is the winningest Grammy Grammy winner. She's won 32 Grammys now, the most of any performer, any artist in Grammy history, and that should be enough to celebrate her. But the rub is that they've never given her the top awards, and she didn't win Album of the Year last night. That went to Harry Styles, who I don't have photos of. I took video of him, but I can't show the video yet because our show airs tonight, and that footage is going to be on tonight's show on ET. Check your local listings. And plug the show. Plug my day job. But we had a cool crew. I'll show off my crew because I love these guys and they're with me through thick and thin. That's our whole crew on the red carpet. That's the whole team just to do the red carpet. Backstage, we have a much leaner setup, and backstage is really kind of interesting because it's this whole mad scramble to figure out where the stars are going to come off stage after they perform. And you're trying to position yourself. They're trying to avoid us because they don't really want to run into anybody. So that's always the battle. It's like we want to get them to do an interview with us, and then we've got to find out. There's three different stage exits where you can come down if you're leaving the stage. So we have one crew, so we're trying to move that guy around with our talent to the proper exit and catch the performers as they're coming off stage. And you got to kind of have your head on a swivel because you'll look down and it's like you look up and, oh my God, there's Madonna. Like, roll the camera, grab her. And you try and get a couple of words with these people as they're trying to either get back to their seat, go back to the dressing room, or whatever. But sometimes they'll stop and they'll give us an interview. Stevie gave us a nice long interview last night. I'm sure I know some of that will be in tonight's episode of ET. Just really cool stuff. So that was my last night, but it's running around and I've got staples in my leg and a broken wrist and bruised ribs. It's been a challenge. And I'll address it further in the next regular episode, but the next regular episode is probably a week away because tomorrow I do Ant-Man, that new Paul Rudd Marvel thing. I'm doing the cast of them, and then I'm off to the Super Bowl for 4 days. And I don't get to actually see the Super Bowl. No, that would be too fun. I'm there from Tuesday to Saturday. I fly out late Saturday, and then Monday I'm at the Oscars luncheon at the Beverly Hilton. So that's an annual thing, and I've traditionally done it, and it's kind of complicated and a big load in because they have like 20 media crews and we all take spots around the pool, and it's challenging to light because you've got building reflecting light and there's a pool and you're trying to get that in, and it's just a little challenging. So they want me to have to direct that and sort of make sure everything gets in place. And there's no way I could stay for the Super Bowl, get a flight out of Phoenix late at night and be back in LA in time to do that, because you'll never get a flight out of Phoenix the night after the Super Bowl because all the executives have all the spots booked. So that's why I'm not going to get to stay for the actual game, but I'll be doing all the run up to the game the rest of the week. So that's, and because I'm in Phoenix, I'm not going to be able to, obviously edit a show. I've tried editing shows on the road before. It's fine, but there always comes a point at which I need that file or I need that thing that's on the server back home, and I don't have a way to tap into it. And my laptop's not tremendously fast anymore either. It's an older MacBook. So that's sort of where we're at. I have 3 episodes written, though, because I write these things all in advance. They don't just happen. I don't just turn the camera on. I actually like to prepare stuff so I have I know what I'm talking about, or I know where we're going, and we're economizing our time together, and I'm not running into a 40-minute episode where part of it is just me randomly recalling stuff, and letting, my train of thought kind of play out. So I try to actually, plan these things. So I've written 3 episodes. They're ready to go. I just have to shoot them and edit them. So that's kind of the plus side of having this little down period where I can't turn my wrist. So I can type, but I can't turn things, and it's really hard to move cameras and that kind of thing. So but I have done some listening, a lot of Caldera listening, because that Caldera episode's coming up. A lot of Noble Viking Ragnar listening, because that's the very next episode will be that review. And then I've got an unboxing from Audio 46 coming up. That's blind. I have no idea what they sent me. We're going to do that one. And I've got just a generic unboxing where I've just got some stuff here to unbox and show you guys. So that's going to be a shorter episode, and it'll be somewhere squeezed in there. But I got to get the Audio 46 thing out, and I want to get the Viking Ragnar video posted. And I know y'all are waiting on that Caldera, the big Caldera review. Everybody's asking about the Caldera. I know. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I just need a little recovery time, folks. It's a really bad situation. And it was a situation of my own doing. I fell I was working in the backyard, and I needed to flush out one of the drains, storm drains. And I was going to walk outside. I thought, I got to put some shoes on because it's kind of muddy back there. So I put my slippers on. Slippers. The problem's right in the name. You make you slip. So had I put tennis shoes on, none of it would have happened. But I put these slippers on, and I was climbing over a wall, and my foot came out of the slipper, and my leg crashed down onto the bricks, and then I saw the cement coming for my face, so I put my hand out, and that's where I broke my wrist. And then that all slammed into my ribs when it all hit the ground. So I kind of did it myself, folks. Not a smart move. Okay, let's get to the chat. Let's see what's going on. Dickster, and here's Johnny. Here's your fool. Okay, yeah, I got the brace. Got the brace on. Keeping it all, in place. Hail Sam Smith. Yeah, boy, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, he's either Satan or an artistic genius. It depends on however you want to see it, So there you go. Oh, I got this thing up. I normally put that down. Yeah, so we're in the break. So yeah, that was quite a. Oh, you're talking about Shania Twain. Yeah, that was amazing. And she's such a sweet lady. She actually came up to me and was talking to me for a few minutes, which I was like, "You're Shania Twain. Why are you talking to me?" But she was, and she was sweet. Talking about, she told me, she just wanted to do something radical and out there because it's the Grammys, and everybody does crazy things for the Grammys, and that was her choice. So she went Raggedy Ann red on the hair. I like the blondie, sandy blonde Shania myself, but what a great album though. That was a great album. Boy, I was one of the, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about in the Caldera episode is I went through a lot. I had to do a lot of listening in the run up to that show. So Saturday night, I did a deep dive on all of the Grammy nominees, and a lot of this music I just hadn't heard. And I wasn't even aware some of the releases had been out there. And I'm like, wow, they're nominated. And I'm like, I wasn't even aware this album came out. And I found a group called Wet Leg that was really good, really interesting, kind of a throwback to the early 80s sort of new wave style, very disaffected singing over very basic, guitar, bass, and little bit of keyboard stuff. Elvis Costello's album, holy God! I was like, I didn't know he did a record with the Imposters last year, and it was nominated. It didn't win, but oh wow, it was like one of those pristine throwback albums. Go check that out. I wish I had the name of it. I don't. Hang on, Elvis Costello. Elvis Costello. Oh, that's good. Why does autocorrect only find stuff? A Boy Named If. The Boy Named If is Elvis Costello's. The autocorrect. It's it helps you out only when you don't want it to. It's I put shoe store, and it's like, did you mean Schlesinger? No, it's shoe store. Just looking for a shoe store, dude. And then you put in Costello, but you put in too many S's, and it changes it to Cosentino. And I'm like, what? What is going on? I love that. But Elvis Costello's album, yeah, that was maybe one of the most impressive things I heard in my research, because I'm like, it's a throwback. It sounds like early Elvis Costello from the 70s when he was with the Attractions. Really awesome awesome sounding record. Very impressed with that. One of those I listened to. Willie Nelson's album was another one that I was like, oh, I would have named that on my best of 2022 chart had I been paying attention. I just wasn't paying attention. And I don't hear everything until I need to. It's kind of like, I kind of have a relationship with this stuff by convenience. Either I stumble across it while I'm, researching a headphone, or I have to do it for work and I'm like, oh, that was really good. And then I'll tell you guys about it. Really good. So hope I'm feeling better soon. Yeah, it's sort of a, pain in the ass and to get around, and you're hobbled, and the real it's like anytime you lean over, it's like I lean over to pick something up and it's like the ribs all of a sudden let you know that, hey, we're here and we're bruised, and then I've got stitches in my leg on the opposite foot, so it's like you can't really bend down because you start pulling on. It's gross. It's not fun. Picking things up has been a pain in the ass. Is there going to be a follow-up on the Caldera? That's what I alluded to that. Yes, there will be a full-blown Caldera review. That's one of the ones I've written. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about, obviously, how it stacks up, in my opinion, to the Susvara, and I make a case for each. I think they both have their place, and they just do things a little bit differently, and I'll talk about the intricacies of that and what I heard, the nuances between the two headphones. That'll be in that episode. It's going to be a couple of ways still, so just stay tuned. It'll get there. We'll get it out to you. I want to do it, so I'm excited to do it. And the Caldera is a great headphone. It's a great headphone. There's no question. Arthur Haywood, I'd be more interested if you finally got the D8000 Pro in to compare to the Caldera. Those are two on my short list. Yeah, the D8000 Pro has been on my short list for a long time, and there's one for sale on HeadFi now, and I've reached out to the guy. I was trying to get a deal done, and he's like, I won't ship it to the States. I'm only shipping to Europe. And it's a headphone that I have a feeling I won't be here for very long, so I don't want to buy it new. The Caldera, I felt confident enough that it's a headphone, and I really wanted one, and they're just not going to come up. It was too new for it to come up on HeadFi as a used item. There actually were one or two I saw a couple weeks ago. They sucked up right away. Somebody picked them up right away. But the D8000, I'm like, I won't buy that new. It's going to be a used set. So, because I want to save some money on it, and I don't care if it's got, some little scratches here and there or whatever. I'm after the sound. I'm not after the prettiness of it. They're more like a headphone I just want to hear for review and then send them on their way and resell, unless they're like the most amazing thing I've ever heard, in which case we'll keep them around and get rid of one of the other ones. But yeah, that's on my short list. It's definitely, it's one I've been looking for. And like I said, I've come close on two deals, and neither one of them, one of them didn't want to ship to the States. And I think the other one, the guy sold it. And it was like, oh, I wish I'd told you, because I took a bath on him on the other one. I'm like, yeah, I would have given you a good price for him. Reasonable price, not, going to go out of my mind with it. But yeah, so I still want it. Boy, I wish I knew how to pronounce that name. Siri Sedlovsky. It's almost like Sergey, but it's not. There's no G. Okay. Siri says, Siri says, he had to listen to the D8000 Pro from an Astell&Kern. It sounds rather nice, but I think they're going to be tuned differently. So is that a separate headphone that Astell&Kern's partnering on? I don't know. Crazy. But great. I'm like, there's that D8000 Pro limited edition out now too, which is a couple $100 more or whatever. And I don't know if they've changed anything or if it's just a cosmetic thing, or what makes them limited. Different tuning? I don't know. But I haven't heard them yet. And let's see. Let's talk about great to see me back. Hope you make a full recovery. Anthony Behrman. Thank you, Anthony Behrman. Cheers to everybody who's new around here. We do this live show, which we do it once a week, except when I'm, incapacitated. So Yeah, we do. So welcome, guys. We just try to. It's a hangout, and it's not all like we don't get all serious on headphones. You'll find that about here, around here. We talk about records. We talk about barbecue. We talk about everything. It's a fun hangout for those of us who are enthusiasts, and we do a little headphone talking along the way, and try and answer some questions. And the group weighs in if you've got questions. But it's also, I love talking music, and I also share a lot of stuff about what's going on with me, like the Grammy stuff. I got more photos too. I can show you guys some more photos if you're into it, from last night, things that I took on the carpet, people we saw, a lot of fun. And musicians always interest me far more than any actor ever will, because they literally invent everything. There was a song that wasn't there, and then there was a song, especially if they write their own music. I'm really into that. Those folks really impress me. When you meet a guy like Smokey Robinson, and you just realize the massive hits that he penned, not just for himself, but for other artists, for the Temptations, and for Stevie Wonder, and for, the dude is a genius. Like, it's true genius. What that man was able to do, he and Berry Gordy. They're both master songwriters before anything, and they're just interesting people. They're really interesting people. And then they found a way to make a business out of it in a situation where there were corporations they were, up against big, huge corporations, and they're this tiny little studio out of Detroit, so cool. So cool when you meet those folks. Survey says, Viking Ragnar. What is the Viking Ragnar? Okay, I'll explain this, and it'll be in the episode too. Early last year, Noble released throw the spaghetti at the wall, and if it sticks, we're going to throw it into a headphone. They wanted to make the world's best headphone, right? IEM, in-ear. And so they came up with something they called the Viking, and the thing was really elaborate. It was they forged it in Damascus steel, which is one of the most expensive steels you can purchase and do anything with. And so the whole shell was Damascus steel, and it was hand etched by a jeweler named Chris Plouffe. And so to assemble this IEM, they had to make the shell, get the steel, get it, stamp it, send it to Chris Plouffe, who then did the design on it. They'd have to send it back across the ocean to all the stuff's being done in Thailand for assembly, and by the end of it, it racked up, this one single IEM to make it racked up 40,000 airline miles. So, too bad it doesn't have a frequent flyer, right? Well, the cost of that headphone was $8,000. So, and they only made 70 or 80 of them, I think. So very low production run, and they sold them all out, mostly to folks in Asia who really wanted this. And when I was asking John Moulton, who's the founder and the senior audiologist for Noble Audio, I said, John, what do these things sound like? And he deadpanned me and he said, the best headphone. What do you think? We're going to $8,000. It's the best headphone. It's the best headphone they knew how to make. And I was like, wow. And at the time I was like, that's great. I can't afford $8,000 on an IEM, but I'm dying to hear what they sound like. And I think they got a lot of that from a lot of customers. So John said about, in the next 6 months or so, finding a way to mass produce the Viking. So what they did was they went to an aluminum shell, and they still retained Damascus to kind of keep it in the family, just on the faceplate. So, but it's a generic shaped faceplate, so it's not all handcrafted. It's just the faceplate is handcrafted, and then they forge the aluminum shell, which I think they lifted, if I'm not mistaken, direct from the Sultan. If not, they did it with a slight modification to fit the additional bits in there. And they were able to cut the price of the Viking in half, and they called it the Viking Ragnar, and you can buy that now. Same sound, same drivers, same all of it, just in a cheaper design that wasn't quite so didn't have to fly at 40,000 miles to get one product out. So that's where that is. So this is the best sounding IEM according to John Moulton in a more affordable package for those of us mere mortals who have to eat for a living, eat every now and then. So that's what the Viking Ragnar is, and I got a pair in here, and we unboxed them on the show, and I'm getting ready now to release that full video that sort of goes through all of the nuances of it, what's great about it, what is intense about it, things that I liked, and things that I was like, well, So I want to release that video. I want to be careful about what I say about that because it's a phenomenal headphone. There's nothing. That headphone had detail unlike anything, almost as good, if not better, than any of the over-ear stuff I've heard. I've never heard an in-ear deliver that much detail. So that's sort of the Viking Ragnar, the quick take on it. We're going to go way deep into depth on it, into all of the nuances of that IEM. That's coming up. That's my next episode. So how many hours do I have on the Caldera now? I don't know exactly. I don't time anything. I'm not a burn-in guy. There are guys that say, oh, you got to put 100 hours on the headphone before it starts, really coming into its own, and you got to put pink noise that was captured from the depths of space by the Hubble telescope microphones and then sifted through 18 layers of filters. And no, I just play them. I buy them, I wear them, I play music on them, and they naturally break in. That's if there is a break in. And I've never heard a headphone like radically change from the day I bought them. Maybe they get subtly different, but it's so inconstant, that doesn't change the fundamental nature of the headphone. So I just play them. I just get them and play them. So how many hours do I have on it? I don't know, probably, I would guess about 50 hours maybe now, or so. Just guessing, because I did the huge like listening back and forth and a lot of reviews, and a lot of it is like, I'll listen to 3 or 4 songs and then I'll go to another headphone and then I'll come back to it and go, did I really hear that last time? So I was like, so a lot of it is just in small little pieces. And then I had a really long listening session on Saturday when I was auditioning all of my Grammy stuff just on the Caldera. I didn't change headphones at all for that. So I take that back. I did put on the LCD-4 when I had to do a couple of hip-hop numbers, because the LCD-4 and hip-hop are like, they're peas and carrots. They go together real well. Got all that bass going on. It's fantastic. Howdy, gents. Richard Spector. Cheers, Richard Spector. Welcome to a happy hour on a Monday. I know it's early in the week, but I will not be around come Wednesday. I'll be gone for the rest of the week, so we got to get it out of the way now. And I'm not going to get an episode out. I want to hang with you guys. I want to just check in and see how everybody's doing. So we did it early for a change in the week, just as a little curveball, because I'm not going to have an episode anytime at least in the next 7 days, I don't think, unless some miracle happens. But miracles don't happen around here very much, in case you didn't notice. Yeah, we're a little short on the miracles. Smokey Robinson reference. So, yeah. Hey, bud. So good to see you're alive. Super busy day today. Just want to stop in and say hi. And Mel Jenkins, you're always welcome. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Audio Fool, how's everybody doing? I don't know. How y'all doing? Tell me about it. What do you guys... Anybody buy anything really cool? It's Ukrainian, so you can basically pronounce it Sirhi. Oh, okay. That's cool. I like that. Sirhi. Okay. Sirhi. Now I know. And then I'll forget, and then I'll be really sorry. Has anybody bought anything really fantastic lately? That's really what I want to know. Has anybody got something that they just bought? I've been looking at DACs lately. DACs are expensive, folks. At least the DACs that I look at. That's something that I'm still like, I want to, but I'm like, I don't know if I should. Oh, but I want to. So that's that. Those are the, that's like my, and then I've been looking for deals on HeadFi. I've been following it. Just nothing's popped up that I just said, yeah, I really want this. You know, like this is the one to get. There are a couple of Verite closed on Head-Fi that have been tempting. They were B stock, and I'm like, do I want a B stock? Do I want to get a purple one? And I'm like, well, if I don't have a definite, like if it's not pulling me in one direction or another, and I've done so many ZMF headphones, I really want to get some other brands in here now. It's kind of, it's so funny. I go in waves because when I first started the show, I did a lot of focals, and then I kind of went on a little bit of a Sennheiser thing, and then Meze, with a big, strong Meze run there for a while. I was running through all the Meze headphones. And then, of course, I did Audeze. I went through, like, most of Audeze's lineup. I got as many as I could in here, one after the other. And then the last one, much to Zach and Bev's benefit, has been the ZMF line. I've just been hooked on ZMFs lately. I love the construction. I love the way these things look and feel and smell and sound. Just fantastic. But it's kind of funny, you know. It's like I go through these waves of brands, it seems, and then I wind up. You know, buying whatever I buy. Or I'll find some oh, that looks really interesting. So, yeah, the Hollow Bliss, the Hollow May is the other one. Everybody says, you know, the Hollow Bliss is the lower model, and then the May KTE is the big dog. And my heart's with the Bliss, but my brain says, gotta get the May. With all these things you have, you gotta get the May. So, you know, I don't know. I'm debating. There's a lot of really good DACs out there. There's from different brands, different manufacturers. I've mostly been a Chord guy because Chord does such amazing detail, but they also are, you know, everybody who has them will probably tell you they're a little bit on the bright side, which is fine when you have dark headphones, but when you have a bright headphone and a bright DAC, they can be a little much sometimes. So, or I will do, the Bliss is the Bliss is the amp. I was looking at the May because I'm like, I've got my headphone amps. I've sort of scratched the headphone amp itch with the Bakun. The Bakun has got, like, I'm feeling pretty good about that right now. Like, I don't think I need another headphone amp in here. I've been through, like, in the last year, I've done 4 different headphone amps. In addition to the Woo WA5LE, which is still, you know, a world-class tube amp that's like this much below the WA33. I'll just never sell it because nobody would ever pay me what it's, you know, anywhere near what I've got into it, you know, with tubes and all that. And I've got the black caps and it's the special edition, all that stuff. So, yeah, so yes, the hollow is certainly something I was looking at. I was looking to see, but there's no hollow Maze available right now as far as on the used market. And new, they're about $5,500 plus tax. It's about $6,000. And I'm like, ugh. I mean, if I'm gonna spend $6,000, you know, don't I kind of want the X9000? And I also want to, you know, I'm also kind of keeping my eyes open for a good, powerful, solid state electrostatic amp, which everybody seems to think is the Malner Carbon. But I'm like, I just haven't seen, I saw one for sale, but it was gone really fast. You know, it's just finding deals because I can't buy stuff new. This show I just can't keep doing this show if I'm buying shit new. It's the second you buy it, the second you buy it, it's worth half the value you purchased for. You know, purchased it for. So, DAC recommendations below. That's something that I'm into, but it's something I'm interested in. A lot of people are like crazy about the hollow. Yeah. I don't know. I'm always open for suggestions on that. I mean, I do have, as you guys know, I have the Chord, TT, I have the Chord TT2, and I have the M scaler on the TT2. So, you know, it's pretty solid in the DAC department. It's just, you know, I'm interested in finding something that's maybe a little warmer to counterbalance that in certain situations. I don't know. Do I need it? No. We don't need any of this stuff. Big, dumb guys. That's what we are. JTB. Cheers, JTB. Welcome back to the show. I just got the HiFiman HE-1000 V2 Stealth Magnet. It is stellar. I believe that. It's basically the HE-1000 SE without the harsh treble. And I think that harsh treble is even, you can step aside from that if you really go heavy on the amping. You find an amp that'll tone that down a little bit. Best headphone under $3,000 easily. HiFiman seems to be competing with itself. I don't disagree with that. And the regular HE-1000 V2 is a stellar headphone. It's a world-class headphone. It still is, and I think there's still an argument to be made that that's the best headphone ever made. It's that good, and I'm sure the Stealth Edition improves on it, but there was something very special about that HE-1000. It's still like one of my very favorite headphones I've ever owned. But I had to sell it to get on, to start when I started the show, because I was trying to get some stuff in here that would be more current and more interesting to folks. So that's why, I got the Verite Open back when it was first on the market. And then I got the Focal Utopia, which was at the time still a pretty hot headphone. Those were like my first two big purchases, I think, for this show. And I would think those early days, I was also doing a lot more tech stuff because I was still putting the studio together. There you go. Sounds about right. Sirhi bought the Red Heart Caldera. I saw that. I saw they've got this red release, and I think it's actually, is that next Saturday that it goes live? They have a couple of releases coming next Saturday. Somebody's got releases next Saturday, and I don't remember who it was. I thought it was another one of these releases from ZMF, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's for sale already. But somebody's got some deal. Something came across my emails, and I just don't remember what it was. I didn't take a note. Hello, Audio Fool. How's everybody doing? Doing pretty good. Okay. Let's see. Audio Fool says he's DAC pursuing. Hasn't decided on the right one. Down to a few. The May, the Ragnar, and the Lampizator. All right. I haven't heard of the Lampizator, clearly, because I can't pronounce it. The Ragnar. I don't think I'm familiar with either of those, but I'll look them up because I need stuff. I don't need stuff, but I need stuff. You know what I mean? It's just something. It's something I'm looking for. So yes, and I'm looking at Sergey. I'm looking at DACs specifically. I'm not interested in amps. I've just to be clear about that. I've got so many amps here right now. I don't need another one. Yes. Torn between the Caldera and the Atrium. I know the Caldera is the latest and greatest, but the Atrium is so damn beautiful. I will say I 100% agree with you. Do I have both? I do. As luck would have it. For those interested, Holly has been sleeping on the desk below me the entire time. I can't access any of my controls. I had something else I was going to show you guys, but I can't do it with him here. So here is the, this is the Atrium. And I love this weathered look. It's super dark, and then they kind of aged it out, wore it down in the middle, took some of the color out of it so it fades. And then they've got this grill that sort of fades to copper in the middle, sort of like it's a little worn. And then this is the Caldera, which is more like modern and, furniture-y. It's got a great smell to it, and it's, it's. I try to get the copper to reflect. There it is. It's just a beautiful copper, but it's concave through here, and there's a little more of a curvature to this one. This one more of a concave, and it's solid shiny copper. I just think that they nailed it with this, and this is very nice, but it's not this. So I agree with you. The Atrium to me is is just a little. It's like that much above where the Caldera is. Still both beautiful. Still both beautiful. But yeah, it is. The Caldera is the amazing thing about the Caldera. First of all, is that it doesn't take. It can be driven by almost anything. I was shocked that it did not, like, it performs very, very well. And on the it literally takes half the volume turns on the pot on the Bakun as the Susvara. Literally, to get the same volume level, it takes half the amount of juice coming out. So it's extremely efficient. Very, very good headphone, and fast. It's in the ballpark of the Susvara. It's just the technicals are much higher than the Atrium. The Atrium is a darker headphone. I love the sound of them. They're very unique. There's nothing that sounds like the Atrium. Whereas I can say, well, the Susvara sounds a little like the Caldera. The LCD-4 is like sort of like the Caldera, but it's a little less technically impressive. It's a little slower than the LCD-4 is a little slower than the Caldera, but they have a very similar sound signature. They're very close. So that's kind of like the lane in which the Caldera is playing. So it's playing up there with some of the best headphones on the planet. And the Atrium is not. The Atrium is noticeably slower, but I guess it's apples and oranges. But it's a dynamic driver, so you get that. It is a little bit of a warmer sound, but I love it. I love the headphone. I listen to them a lot. So there you go. Ace of Spades, message retracted. What was it? What was it? Arthur Haywood said he's getting a Gestard 26R. It's reasonably priced with good reviews. Gestard 26 and A26 seems to be a real fight at $1,500. Sandu had a pretty good article written on it. JTB has the R26. It's a good R2R deck. End game for him. Not interested in the A26 Delta Sigma. A little too harsh compared to the R2R, whereas the R26, where the music sounds a little more neutral. Neutral. Better timbre. Thumbs up. Did you see the set DMS got? No, I don't. I really don't have time for other people. So I laugh because it's so it's like, not enough time for them. And I know everybody watches them. I know that, you take a look at their views and their channels and stuff, and it's like they've got like 18 times the viewers of this channel. I'm like, I don't have time for them. I used to try and make the headphone show when they do their live stream every Saturday. And the reason I settled on a happy hour show is because I didn't want to tread on that turf. I felt like it would be disrespectful to Andrew over there, who built, that live show himself. He hasn't been doing it as much lately, or if he does, it happens like around noon LA time, which is too late in the day for me. I can't tune in for it. But I used to make it a point to catch that one, but I don't watch anybody else's stuff. I just don't have time. I'm doing my own thing here, and I'm dancing to my, it's like, I'm kind of like off in my own world, in a sense. I don't know what other people are listening to, or what they're auditioning, or what their shows have going on. I guess that makes me insensitive to a certain point, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't have time, folks. I'm like, I don't have time to cut this show together, and I'm injured, and I'm not going to sit back and watch somebody else do a head. I mean, I want to do my own thing and do it my own way. I guess that makes me something of an asshole. Sorry. I'm like, it's cool. I love, I wish everybody just all the success in the world, and they're killing it over there. I know their numbers are huge. They get great reviews, and Kryn too, another one. It just gets great reviews and great. I've seen a couple of his shows, and they're funny as hell, and he seems like a nice, fun guy. But I honestly don't have time to follow, actually watch anybody else's stuff. I wish I would have been great if I could just sit at home and watch YouTube and make YouTube videos all day. But first of all, my interests are, I'm interested in everything. Like, I really am. I just love everything. I'm fascinated with the world and the world around me. And there's no one thing I could ever just devote 100% of my energy toward, because my interests are all over the place. I love music, and I love finding a perfect vehicle to deliver that music to me in the form of a headphone. But I also like electronics, and I like computers, and I like cars, and I like sports, and and I don't have time for hardly any of it, but I sample when I get into an interest, like when my interest surges on something. Model trains, love model trains. I think they're so cool. And then I love my job. Like I have a job, and I will tell this as career advice to anybody who's looking for career advice. Whatever you do with your life, pick something you love to do. Pick something that you would do for free on your own, and the money will find you. Because if you're following something that's a passion, that's something you just enjoy doing, you're never going to work a day in your life. And I honestly feel that way. As hard as my job is, and as difficult as it can be, and the pressure, and I've got to deliver, because if I don't deliver good interviews, last night we got Jill Biden, I got Stevie Wonder, I got Madonna, I got who am I thinking of? Dr. Dre. We got huge interviews backstage, and it was all hustle. Like, we were just running from place to place, anticipating where people were going to be, and getting them to stop for us in the back. I got Adele last night. We interviewed Adele last night. We got killer interviews, and it's like such a thrill and a win. But it's so much work, because you're on your feet and you're constantly using your mind and trying to outsmart where the Grammy people are going to bring these folks, and can you have your crew in the right position to get the interviews. But it's, at the end of the day, it's not work for me. It's something I actually love doing. I love getting an interview that nobody else will have tonight on their show. And we got it by sheer hustle and strategy, and working with, as a team, and moving people and players around behind the backstage at the Staples Center. It's just a full court press of using your best instincts and everything you've learned up to this point to anticipate where you need to be to get the big interview. And I so love that. I've never worked a day in my life, and I love it. That's something that I can't impress on anybody enough. Make sure you're doing something you love, because you don't want to wake up 40 years into your career and go, I hate this job. You know what I mean? That's horrible. That's horrible, man. I don't wish that on anybody. Even my worst enemies. I'm like, make sure you're loving what you do for a living. Okay, rant off. Soapbox down. So yes, that's just my thing. So I've got all these different interests. So this show and headphones will never be the end all be all for me, because unless it gets to a point where it's making a shit ton of money, and then it's going to be really fun, because it's like people are tuning in, and I'm making money just doing something that's kind of a good time for me, and hanging out with you guys, and with my friends. I mean, get paid for hanging out with your friends, that would be awesome. I mean, we're just nowhere near that at this point. Because I'm probably pretty bad at this. I just don't have enough common sense to realize it. Too fun, guys. This is too fun. DMS got a pair of purple stabilized Atriums. I love the weathered look. I like stuff that looks old. I'm a vintage dude. Everything I've got all this vintage stuff. I just love vintage. So yeah, it's going to be anything that looks older or steampunky or whatever, that's going to be right in my lane. But I'm sure they look great, Ace of Spades says, director, look for a Nagra DAC. Yeah, Nagra tape player. Hello. Berkeley reference used for 5,000 at some point. They're pretty great if you can find one. For your DAC shirts, check out Ragnar, second one, and Lampiziators, our tube DACs. Dana Fripp's Terminator Plus is intriguing too. These are all things that I'm going to have to just do some research on. But thanks for the list. I'm going to copy all of this. I'm going to copy all of this into a doc real quick, because I don't want to lose anything. Oh, I can't do that. Well, maybe I can. Let's see. Stand by while I do something you can't see. I'm copying and pasting. I do this all the time on this show, though, while we're talking, because somebody will bring up an album. That was not it. That was not a proper copy paste technique. Something went awry, and it's probably because I've got a cast on my hand, even if it is a soft cast. Hey, got it. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I'll look up all that stuff, because it's something that I'm thinking about. I'm just starting to it's starting to pique my interest, and I notice that late at night while I'm listening to music, or if I'm doing something, I find myself going through DAC pages. That's always a warning sign, kids. That's the first sign. You may be an addict. It's late at night, you're listening to music, and it's coming from digital files, and you're looking at digital files, and then you're looking at DACs. Danger lies ahead. Oh, DACs today. He uses the Hollow Spring 3 KTE. It's quite a high-end R2R, but for some reason, he finds it very chordy. Well, I don't want something chordy. I want something different than chordy that kind of changes things up. Interesting. Sir, he says he would like to mention that one of the things that elevated his purchase decision on the Caldera instead of the Susvara was how much more happy you seemed with the Caldera over the Caldera over the Susvara with the 13R. Well, the Susvara was, I guess you have to be around long enough. It's been almost 50 episodes, more than that really, of me trying to find an amp that will make the Susvara sound good, really good, great even. The Susvara never sounded bad, but they never sounded great either. I was far more satisfied with my experience with the 1266TC than I was with the Susvara, period. And part of that was bass. I mean, that was a big part of the equation. The Susvara just never delivered a bass experience that I was like, it was good. It was good, but it wasn't impressive. It had really lifelike through the mids, and, there was nothing wrong with the Susvara. It just didn't wow me. There was no wow factor there. And you put on the 1266TC and there was a wow there. Put on the LCD-4, there's a wow there. The Elite, Meze Elite, and it's not only is the sound good, they're even technically, these are inferior technically, the Elite are, to the Susvara by quite a margin. But the whole package of world-class comfort, amazing bass, and really good technicals, it's an astounding headphone. Meze has an achievement on their hands with that. And there's a wow factor when you put those on. It's just oh my God, it's such a pleasure to use that headphone. And then there's the Susvara, which wasn't necessarily the most comfortable. It wasn't necessarily the lightest. It had, the technicals were really good, no question there. But it wasn't it never just took me to another place. I was this sounds like a really good pair of headphones. And it's $6,000. It should be doing more than that. It should be blowing me away. Well, the Bakun finally got me to the point where I was it was more of a relief when I finally got the Bakun. Finally, I've got something that's making this headphone sound interesting. So that's what it is. So there's a backstory on the Susvara, which I would say just take that with a grain of salt. Part of that was just me endlessly trying headphone amps. Look at how many headphone amps I went through with the Susvara till I got to the Bakun arm. I'm like, okay, well, this sounds really good. This is actually impressing me. Like there's a wow factor to the headphone now that there just wasn't before. So there's a degree of relief in that. And the Caldera were just awesome out of the box. And they take half the power to drive. Like you don't need hardly anything to drive them. They drive with this Ferrum stack just fine. You get all of the benefit. The Bakun sounds a little cleaner to me, but it's not. You're not losing anything by jumping down in amp. So whatever. JTB says he's lost interest in the Resolve stream. Too much measurements and graphs that he doesn't care about. Michael's Garage is the way that our stream. Well, the stream is the stream. I mean, the show is really what I do it for. The stream kind of like is a get me over till we get to the next show. But I don't find. I'm going to say this tactfully because I respect anybody that's making a go of it in the YouTube headphone space, and I want to respect that because I don't have all the answers, and I'm an idiot, and I tell you I'm an idiot all the time. My problem is this. They make a graph of a headphone. Take a measurement. There are inherent flaws with graphing, with taking these measurements. What type of mic are you using? What's the response of the mic? How are you compensating for that mic? And if you think that these measurements are so pure and great, there's a brand new mechanism device that came out to measure that everybody is hyping now. Oh, we've got the latest and greatest measurement tool. Doesn't that tell you there was something wrong with the old tool? And how much more wrong was the old tool than the current tool that you're now hyping up? See what I'm saying? And how are you sure that this new tool is that much better than the old tool? And at the end of the day, the way a lot of reviewers work, I think, is they take this graph and then they build a review around the graph. Because the graph tells them that, oh, there's not a lot of sub bass there, so I better not, I'm not going to say anything about, great about the sub bass. Or the graph will show them that there's a slight spike at 1K. And I'm like, all that shit doesn't matter. Tell me what it sounds like. Because the graph can show you a spike somewhere, but if it's not audible, why are you reporting on it? Like, you know what I mean? What's audible? What are you hearing? Because there are, they'll put a little, push at a certain frequency because they think that most people, the majority of people, have a little deficiency there, or they have, that's an exciting frequency that they seem to think, gives people it's a little sweet spot, whatever. So just because it's got a bump somewhere or it looks a little uneven up top doesn't mean it's bad, and doesn't mean that it's uneven, and doesn't mean it could be that it's a great sounding headphone that happens to graph like shit. Or it could be a terrible sounding headphone that is right on that beautiful Harman curve, which is the curve that they've now thrown away. I'm like, the graph thing to me, and then they're marketing graphs as a selling point, and they're using it as a selling point, and I'm like, it's, at the end of the day, it's like it should be a reference, but it shouldn't be God. It should be a reference tool to give you a basic understanding of what a headphone might sound like before you buy it, but by no means does it tell you anything about what the headphone actually sounds like. So that's my take on it. It's my personal take, and there are other people who completely disagree with me and think I'm full of shit and off my rocker, and that's perfectly fine with me. I just got to go with what makes sense to me, putting it all together, and having heard so many headphones now, in the process of doing this show and experiencing and hearing your experiences, there are people that tell me that a headphone that if you look at the graph looks like heck, it's like an impressive headphone, and I'm like, wow, I want to hear that. And then I hear it and I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right, it kind of sounds really good to me, but graphs like hell and it must be a bad headphone. Well, whatever. So there you go. My thoughts on Campfire Ara, please. I don't know. I haven't heard them. Campfire, as a general rule, has stuck to balanced armatures, and I don't know if they're dipping their toe into mixing their drivers yet. But for a long time, they were stuck on things like the Andromeda, which is an all-balanced armature setup, and I feel like they've fallen behind because of that. Now, have they altered? I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive into what they're doing these days. But it seemed to me they were a little behind in the technology curve. I did have the Andromeda in here. I thought they sounded great for an all-balanced armature design. And that's great, but there's so much more out there now with the coming freight train that is the planar magnetic IEM. These things are coming faster and faster, and they are getting more and more impressive, and we're all going to be using planar magnetic IEMs or some hybrid of planar magnetic IEMs at some point, because they're just too good. The stuff that's coming out is too good, and somebody's going to perfect that at some point and really blow everybody away. They're going to have a Susvara-like experience in an IEM. It's coming. It's coming. It's going to come anytime. I don't know when. I don't know who's going to do it, but it's coming. So there you go. Crin in terms of numbers trumps all of the headphone show for some reason. Almost Zeos type. Well, he's got the Asian audience, and if you think that IEMs are a thing over here and in Europe, you didn't see nothing until you go to Japan and go to a place where there's IEMs. Go to a store where there's IEMs. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. They make us look like amateurs, and so he's probably got that market. He's probably got a big part of that audience. And cheers to him, because man, they all work so hard. I mean, everybody works hard at this stuff. Cheers, everybody. 4:31. I made it an hour on the air. With all my injuries and my sore ribs. The worst part is coughing, though. Coughing and sneezing are like death to me. That's where the pain is. JTB, it's very apples and oranges in my opinion, where Andrew is more research paper, Michael is an art, where Zeos is a comic book. They're all nice. I let everybody do what they want to do. I wanted to do a show that was entertaining. I wanted to do a show that was fun. Everybody seemed to be, when I first started watching some of the YouTube videos a couple of years ago, it seemed like everybody was going so serious on this stuff, and I'm like, we're all blowing money on shit we really shouldn't be blowing money on. So let's just keep that in mind while we're dropping $6,000 on something that will reproduce sound that we can get a pretty good, decent job of doing at about $400 or $500, and yet we are stupid enough to want, and we still actually pay $6,000 for one of these devices, several of these devices, as in my case. Like, this is dumb stuff, and we need to be a little bit let's be a little transparent on how stupid we are for going down these roads, because it's nuts. It's fun and it's interesting, but it's nuts, folks. We are out there. We're out there. In the words of Kramer, we're out there. Yeah. So there we go. He watches them all. Resolve 2-hour streams doing graphs and measurements, but being asleep. Okay. Adman, best summary he's ever seen. Adman? 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 I don't know. I don't know what that is. Jeffrey Allison. Cheers, Jeffrey. Welcome to the show. Easier said than done. Zeos is QVC. I haven't seen a ton of Zeos, but what I've seen is really great. The show gets me nauseous at some point. I'm like, dude, I just show your head every once in a while or change the shot, please. Michael, broadcast journalism is, especially producing, is so very challenging. It's an acquired skill. It's an acquired taste. A lot of people don't like it because you're only as good as your last gig. And if I missed all those interviews last night, there's a good chance I would not be working the Grammys next year. If I didn't deliver on some level, they would find somebody else who did, because somebody else would do it. So you've got to, you got to keep that in your head when you're doing it. It's like, you know, there is an element that, like, if we don't deliver something that's really impressive here, you're not going to be able to rest on your laurels, because the next person coming around who's right behind you wants to do this job, will probably do it for less money. So you better deliver. You better deliver something impressive. Because the stuff on the red carpet is less challenging, because it's just like more of a marathon. They're going to come by, and either you're going to get them or you're not. Everybody, all the other media outlets are right next to you. We happen to be in the first position because we're the granddaddy of entertainment news shows, just like I'm the granddaddy of headphone review shows in terms of age and mileage. But you know, that's less challenging. It's what you do when you're on your own and you've got to deliver stuff. Sorry, I gotta let Holly out. I won't make you come on camera today, mister. He's a good guy. Yeah, so, okay. He loves Director's Garage, but current favorite reviewer is Convince Me Audio. I have no idea who that is, but thumbs up to them. I have no idea what Convince Me is. And very solid reviewer, not afraid to be negative, definitely good headphone channel. First time catching this live, the Hipster Cow. Cheers, brother. Always welcome people to this show with a drink. I wish it was vodka or whiskey. No, I don't, because then I'd be drunk. Sean with Zero Fidelity does great live streams for 2 channel. Ron with NRD. Boy, I don't know any of these people. I'm so out of it. Sorry, guys. I really don't know them. I've never heard of them. Like different viewers, the different focuses they bring. Personally, I'd rather listen to discussions around albums and music. Yeah, there's some great music reviewers out there. I listen to a lot of guys. Steve, what's his name over at Guttenberg? Over at, well, he does his own thing, but check him out, Steve Guttenberg. He usually has some interesting stuff. And I like the guys at Analog Records, Analog Productions. They do stuff. Steve Chasem and all those guys, or Chad Chasem, I guess it is. They do good stuff. I'm always interested in seeing what they're coming up with. Yeah, that's the thing. Likes different reviewers. Personally, he'd rather listen to discussions around album. Oh yeah, we talked about that. Audio Fool, just my preference. Whatever. Okay, he uses the shit Lokius EQ time control to tweak his headphones. Ain't nobody got time for graphs, charts, and measurements. JTB and I are just, I swear to God, separated at birth. Let your ears decide what sounds pleasing to you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you got to use your ears and you got to trust your own hearing. I mean, it's good to have a reviewer. Look, we're human, and we like to hear good things about stuff that we bought or stuff that we're interested in. It's a human component. We love that. We love it when somebody else tells us that something that we happen to love sounds really good to them. That's being human. That's just the way we operate up here. I don't know if it's a dopamine release or what it is, but there's something that goes on there. You know, like we like to hear that as consumers. So there's an element of that, but there's also like some element, like if somebody's saying, look, this has a more reference bass, and you happen to know that you really like a lot of bass, and like the bass is a little lean on this headphone. It sounds really good. It's just the bass is lean. It's on the leaner side. You might think twice about checking that one out or dropping your money on it, you know? So there's different, you know, there's different needs, I guess, people get out of these things. I don't know. I'm talking out the side of my neck a little bit here. I think. It's probably a rat hole we can probably cover over now. So funny. Graphs are useful, but increasing numbers of people giving opinions on sets they haven't heard just based on the frequency response graphs isn't helpful. Endorse is a way. That's a horrible thing in general. If I ain't heard it, I'm not telling you what it is, and I'll tell you I haven't heard it. How many times on this show have I said, somebody asked me earlier about the end Campfire or something or other. I'm like, haven't heard it. I don't know. Ask somebody who has, or ask the crowd. Maybe somebody, ask somebody in chat. A lot of times you guys in chat have heard something I haven't, and that's great. That's what I like about the community here, is that the people have heard stuff that I haven't, and they can chime in and go, hey, this is what's great about it, and here's what's maybe not so great about it, But I'm not going to, I'm not going to BS you and tell you that it's something's great I haven't heard before, or, how does that help anybody? I'll tell you I haven't heard it, but I hear that the reviews are good, that I've seen. Holly finally went outside. It's very windy in LA today, and it's warm, but it's windy. And Holly hates the wind more than he hates the rain. He'll sit out in a rainstorm. In a windstorm, he's like out for 10 minutes. He's like, nope, I'm out of here, prick. Done. Coming back in. Gonna sleep on your desk some more. But it sucks because I was trying to do something for you guys earlier and load up some more stuff, but I couldn't because he's laying on my control boxes for the show. I guess Holly decided the production value of today's show, guys. Blame the cat, as usual. Michael's the hardest working man in show business. I think everybody in show business works hard. I don't know. I know that I've never been afraid to work, and I've never been afraid to lose sleep over something, and get my stuff done. Because I want to deliver. I want to do a good show, and I want to deliver stuff that people at home find entertaining. And it's like this. I could slap together some bullshit episode of the regular episode of this show, but I want it to be special. You know what I mean? I want to do a show that is different than everybody else's. And I'm not going to do jump cuts, and I'm not going to do, they all use that kind of hip hop stuff that's a little modulated and music and whatever. It's no, I go for old school stuff. I try to find quirky music that's unusual and out there. I just want to give you guys something that you're not getting anywhere else, and I try to give you something that's entertaining to me, if nothing else. Yeah, at least I find it quirky and goofy and stupid in some level, and I hope you do too. And I hope you find the humor in that at the same time. Arthur Hayward says, while there are some very good multiple drivers IEMs, he finds that single dynamic drivers, he usually prefers single driver IEMs, be they dynamic or planar. Arthur, I just think that these, personally, I think that these kitchen soup IEMs are getting so good at blending. It's hard to, after hearing the technicals, the technicals of the Odin or the completeness of the Sultan, these top tier IEMs, while a $900 IEM like the Canera Nana is perfectly good, and it really gets you where you need to be for an IEM, in my opinion, the spectacle of some of these higher end IEMs when they're throwing as much as they can at these things, wow, they blow me away, personally. I still think that the Timeless is all you really need. Timeless and a good quality amplifier is a spectacular experience. It's a great experience. Can you get further? Yeah, but diminishing returns now hits at that $225, $230, whatever the cost of the Timeless is now. That's your point of diminishing returns in the IEM space. But the cool thing is how fast IEMs are evolving compared to over-ears. Every time you think you've hit a benchmark, like the Timeless, what was that, a year and a couple months ago? It's like there's another revolution around the corner, and somebody comes out with something that's even more spectacular. And I'm like, I don't know where this ends, but these guys are just leapfrogging in technology and quality in these IEMs at a pace that the over-ears just can't keep up with right now. I don't know why that is. I think it's just maybe there's more competition in the field. Maybe there's more room for people to find improvements and ways to make things quieter or expand the sound stage, whatever. I don't know, but they're doing amazing things. Hipster Cow, would you care to try the RAL SR1A? I've tried them I've been to audio shows and tried them, and they sound great. I was really impressed with them. I just thought that their sound is very specific in terms of what they do at the sound stage, and I think I would get tired of that quickly. So it's a tech that I haven't been anxious to jump into. Talking about ribbon drive, me with the ribbon microphone here. Because you can capture sound on a ribbon, you can also play back sound on a ribbon. And the RAL does it as better than any other headphone that's ever tried to do with a ribbon. It just seems to me like it's something that I would get tired of. So it's nothing that I've been anxious to get in here because there's so many other headphones like the D8000 Pro, and some of those headphones that really interest me. So while I wouldn't turn down a RAL if one happened along and at the right price and then got all the shit to drive it and all that appeared, great. I would be in favor of that and I would try it. But it's not something that I'm like, it's not on my short list. It's more like a long-term. If I came across it, it was the right price, and somebody said, buy it now or you're going to lose it, and, whatever, then I'd make a move. Oh, cheers, everybody. Getting dry. We're also in a tremendous dry spell in LA. The humidity's super low, so I get dried out real quick. Voice-wise. And the drugs don't help. Just kidding. Doris is away. Says he just bought the Symphonium Helios for the best part of $1,000. Ridiculous expense, but he'd only spend it on food and heating. Okay, well, it is heating because you can turn it on and it'll heat the room slowly. May not pay for your electric bill, but you never know. Wild Bee says the new Analog Productions Bob Marley 3,500 copies. I heard it crashed their website today, actually, over at Analog Productions. I didn't get in line for it. I'm a Marley fan, but I'm like, digital's good enough. I don't need an analog record of that. The stuff that I'm really like having to restrain myself on is buying these reel-to-reels. Because I'm like, these reel-to-reels are the real thing. I mean, it's like as close to the master as you can get, and they're really impressive. I'm like, they're $500 a copy almost, though. And that's if you don't get a special edition of something. Special editions can run up to $2,000 for a single album. But if it's the right album. Big dumb guy. But it's so great. I mean, man, whenever we had these kind of options, one dub off the master right in your hands. So awesome. Saw them being offered at Music Direct. Tempting. Yes, Music Direct is the subsidiary of Mobile Fidelity, as you know. They're the sales arm of Mobile Fidelity. Whereas, Acoustic Sounds is the sales arm of Analog Productions. Don't know if you guys knew those relationships. There is a relationship there. Okay, so Doris away. We did that. Johnson Adekunle says, did you attend the Grammys yesterday? Yes, Johnson, rewind to the top of the show. I did a big Grammy recap at the top of the show. Talked about some winners and some losers, and I showed some photos. Let's see, can we do a few more? Well, I'll just tease you with a few more. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to this one. This is in 2. And did I show her? I don't think I showed her. All right, let's do this. I'm just going to go through some photos real quick, just because we can. So this is Mary J. Blige. Oh my God. I mean, what a... And her new album... If you want a case for, like, if you think that a hip-hop artist should have won last night, that album is the best of the hip-hop genre, I thought. It was great. There's LL Cool J. Hung out with him last night. Saw him a couple times. Saw him backstage, too. Let's see. DJ Khaled. Saw him on the red carpet. He brought his whole family. His kid was adorable. Super fun. Super fun. I showed him before, but I'll show him again. Why not? Because it was my most impressive. My personal most impressive was I got to meet Mick Fleetwood last night. Really cool. And then that is Questlove. We interviewed Questlove on the red carpet. I showed Machine Gun Kelly earlier. Did I show? I don't think I showed her. Queen Latifah. Oh, I didn't show her either. Sheryl Crow. It was Sheryl Crow last night. Did that interview. And that's all I pulled, I think. Yeah. Everything else you can see. It's if you rewind to the top of the show, you can see it all. Oh, I can't do that. I got to do the switcher. There we go. And that was it. That was the marquee that was backstage that I took a picture of because I thought it was cool. There you go. Put the marquee in the background there. So yeah, so that was the Grammys from last night, and lots of running around. I talked about it a couple of times. Talked about my role on the show and how I went about covering it and what I have to do as an entertainment news reporter in a very difficult environment when the Grammys are trying to put on a show on television and I'm trying to steal their artists for moments of interview in between acts. And they don't want to give them to me because they want to just do their thing. It's their show, not mine. So anyway, in that way, it's a little parasitic, I guess. Nice on the Helios. The Symphonia Meteor looks great for $500. I'm going to have to look up some of these brands. I just haven't had time. Helios shell is a massive and fit is deep. Says Doris is away, but it's not the most portable IEM as they're happier if you sit still. And then Doris is away. Timeless is great, but planers, but for planers, the recent heyday, though not quite as exciting, is beautifully tuned. I haven't heard the heyday. I'm going to do something that right. This is going to be a director's. I'm going to blow something right now. You ready? This is this is a product that I've been waiting to unbox, and I was going to do another thing, but because you brought it up, I've got this. This is the brand new Timeless. It just came out. It's called the Timeless AE, and they've improved the bass response. They've improved the bass on these. This is a headphone I'm going to do in an upcoming episode. And the reason it's unboxed is because I forgot I even ordered it. I ordered it the day it came out, and I saw it, and it got here. And when the package arrived, like weeks and weeks later, I forgot that it was in there. So I opened the box. And I'm like, oh crap, I was supposed to do this on the air as an What's in the Box episode. But this is the latest and greatest from 7 Hertz. It's the Timeless AE. It's a new version of this. It sounded like I said a nude version of this, which is a totally different headphone, guys. It's a new version of this, of the Timeless that I'm dying to do. I'm going to do this on the show. I'm going to do a shorter episode where I blow through a bunch of stuff. That's going to be one of them. That's in the coming weeks. But I wasn't going to even show that to you, and I thought, and you were talking about it. I'm like, yeah, there's a couple of new things out there. That's one of them. So very excited about that. R2R, go get him, soldier. Michael, you auditioned a jazz classic reel on the show a few months ago. Was it Kind of Blue? No, I did. I did a Love Supreme, I think, was the one that I did. But I also have, Kind of Blue. I have several different versions of Kind of Blue. I have the version from Mobile Fidelity, which we've since discovered was a digital transfer. And then I have the Analog Productions Ultra Disc, which was not. It was a transfer off of the original master tape. I am hoping that somebody makes that tape available to Analog Productions so they can do a run of... They would sell that out immediately if they did a Kind of Blue reel-to-reel. That would be something. That would be something. I think that would yeah, that would be something to see. I would be first in line for something like that. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but I did place an order for something that was insanely expensive in the reel-to-reel range. And I still look at reel-to-reel decks all the time. There's some I want to get at some point. I want to get a CCIR EQ'd reel-to-reel deck in here. I know I have a compensation that I do for mine because I have an NAB deck, and you have to kind of tweak the tone a little bit to make it work. Yeah, I want to do that. I do want another deck in here. It's the curse, guys. It's the curse. But yeah, the kind of blue is just that landmark. You know, there's just nothing. It's the holy grail of everything. You know, when it comes to jazz, it's the first step into modern jazz. You know, it's sort of the perfection of modern jazz, of bebop. So good. I love that record. Can't get enough of it. Album suggestion: Eddie 9V Capricorn. Okay, check that out. And I talked about some other records at the top of the show. Elvis Costello, check that out. His record from last year, The Boy Named If. It's a really good record. But I'll check out Eddie 9V Capricorn. Okay. Dorsey owns both. Growing. Oh, what are we doing? What was that question from? Oh, the heyday. The heyday is growing on him the more hours he gets on it. He had to switch from foam to tame the treble a bit. He's treble sensitive. Me too, Arthur. I'm very treble sensitive. Very treble sensitive. Yeah, John Coltrane loves Supreme. Yeah, I showed that off on the show. It's right over there. It's on the shelf right next to me. JTB says Michael lost track of all his stocking stuffers from Christmas. Yes, that happened. Because you buy, look, $100 on a headphone is a lot of money. There's, I respect that for some people that is a lot of money. I tend to buy a $100 headphone just as like something that I will have on the show for one episode and give away. So it's like I'll see something that's new and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll buy it. It's $100. I'll buy it, sure, because I want to show it off on the show. It's worth it to me. But I realize it's a lot of money for some people, and I'm like, I don't want to discount that at all. Buy what you can afford. Don't buy anything you can't afford, folks. It's not the way to go. Doris is away. One of his favorite remasters last year was Dexy's Midnight Runners 2 Raye. I love Dexys. That was great. Iconic band in the UK. Maybe just a one-hit wonder in the US. No, they're great. They had a bunch of stuff. But, obviously Come On Eileen was their big one. Spicy take from JTB. Doesn't like calling IEM's headphones. I mix it up all the time because I just talk too much. Yes, I call them IEMs, but, But I trade those words out. I have liberty with them. I'm a bad man. Go Renard, thanks a bunch. He loves Coltrane, especially his earlier stuff, straight bop stuff. Yes, absolutely. Do you have any European friends that can get you the Harmonia Records kind of blue? No, I don't, unfortunately. Anybody in Europe? The problem, there's an Italian version of kind of blue where a European distributor of reel-to-reel tapes was able to get their hands on one of the masters, and they did direct dub-offs and sold them as one off the master, which is great. And I believe that's what they're doing. They're actually a pretty reputable company, but they're out of Italy, and because of the copyright and the way it's owned in the States, they can't ship that reel-to-reel to California. So I'm out of luck, unless I know somebody in Italy that wants, or somebody in Europe that wants to buy it for me, and I send them the money, and then they send me the goods. It's like an international drug deal. Oh, guys, it's getting old. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up shortly. I'm getting punchy, and I have to go to dinner tonight down in Manhattan Beach, so I got quite a drive ahead of me. I'm meeting my goddaughter for dinner. And her dad. So I gotta go do that. He's 21, 24 now or something. I don't know. I lost track. I'm not a very good godfather. Sorry, Caitlin. Okay, thanks a bunch. I love straight Coltrane. Yeah, we did that. No, I don't. Coltrane was so great as a sideman. Yeah. Arthur Haywood, don't find the heyday as bright as the timeless. And I quite like bright. The other thing about the timeless is it sounds great, but it gets better when you put a better amp with it too. And when the big jump on the timeless is when I put them on the WA11. They really scaled on that amp. They really got special, even more special. So, like on Sonny's Crib by Sonny Clark. Ooh, we're throwing around some classics here. Like it. It's still King of Blue, kind of blue. They all play in Italian. It's still kind of blue. I get it. Wild Beast, that was a good joke. I'm going to cheers to you. They all play in Italian. They only hit the Italian notes. It's that Italian scale, guys. There is someone making custom reel-to-reel. He doesn't think it's a TX chassis. Don't quote me, though. I assume you're talking about a reel-to-reel deck, Dixter. There are some companies out there that are selling them, but they're like HE1 money. If you're going to buy a new one, they're $20,000 and up for a brand new deck. So I would love to find like a vintage Studer that's in excellent condition. You can find them for 10 grand or under sometimes. You can find them for $25,000 and $30,000 too if it's the A80 and it's in pristine condition and all that. But I'm looking for something that's a little more practical and not so, a car. Doris is away, has missed a few episodes. So what is the injury you're updating on? Broken wrist, cracked or bruised ribs, 4 stitches in the leg. And you can watch the top of the show. I talk about it. I tell you all about it if you go back, because we're going to end this in just a few minutes. Gratz, have a nice dinner. Gil Bernard says, speaking of buying, buying what you can afford, he lives just a few miles from Empire Ears headquarters factory, but he'd buy from them direct if he thought they might give him a discount. Michael says it's always there. Well, I don't know about Empire Ears because aren't they southeast United States? I don't remember. I lost track. Maybe I'm making that up. Matthew Hilty got the Mest Mark II. He likes them a lot. I actually, I love the Mest Mark I. I was always curious about that Mark II. I just, $1,200 sitting around. I was really, the other part of that is on these shows, the over ears get more views than my in-ear monitor shows. So there's always that to deal with. So, it's, that's like the curse of this show is I love in-ears, and I can't do a ton of in-ear shows because the people don't watch them as much. It's true. People want the over-ear, the expensive over-ears. That's what my highest rated shows are, always the expensive over-ear headphones. Oh shit. That's not to say that IEM episodes don't rate at all. The Viking Ragnar, everybody wanted to know about that one because it is one of the shits, as they say, that people are really excited to watch, to hear. So there you go. I'm going to start wrapping this now, and while BC hopes Holy shaved himself in sympathy of my injuries, and steak is medium rare, mashed potatoes and asparagus. We're going to a fish place, I think, though. Yes, Empire Ears is southeast near Atlanta. That's what I thought. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for today's live stream. Thanks, guys. I just wanted to check back and let you guys know what was going on with the this and the this and that and how it all happened and what the update is. And I'm still working through, and I'm still working. I've got a busy next week, so I doubt I'll get an episode out. I want to shoot one. I might shoot one. I don't know. Like I said, I've got 3 written, 3 ready to go. I just got to buckle down and find some time to shoot. But it was more important to me to do a live show today than shoot a taped show because I wanted to connect with you guys and I'll let you know. We're going to go to the goodbye music as we can. Drive by. The name of the outro music, in case you're wondering. So yeah, thanks for stopping by Happy Hour. Tip your waiters and waitresses. Make sure you recycle those bottles, and I will see you before you know it. I just make this shit up sometimes. Hey, I don't have it prepared to go out, so I gotta do some stuff real quick. I gotta do that, and then I'm gonna have to go here, and then I'm gonna have to. Am I on the right one? I think so. Bye.